Y'all, I want to apologize for the delay. Y'all know my internet be acting up sometimes, but I was here. I promise I was here. But what's up, what's up, everybody? We're going to go ahead and get into the show. I have an unpopular opinion about all this. Again, a victim by the name of Duane Youngblood, who is actually a pastor, or used to be, came to Larry Reid with this confession that TD Jakes wanted to, do some things and proposition him. So we're going to go ahead and get into that right now. Let's go ahead and play the intro first. Go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Talk the Real Deal with AT2. And yes, I'm your boy AT2. How everybody doing? How everybody living? How everybody feeling today? Let me say what's up to the people before we start. What's up, Leah? What's up, Angie? I love seeing all my AT2bers here. What's up, Sin? What's up, Inel? What's up, Teresa? What's up, Jackie? Who else we got here? We got Cammy, EH, Ronnie. Hello. What's up, everybody? Thank y'all for being here. So yes, we're going to talk about Larry Reid. And it's so funny because I was all like, I'm not talking about no Larry Reid stuff ever again. I'm so done with that. Remember I said that on Saturday? Well, this is through Larry Reid, but I don't feel like we're talking about Larry Reid. But we got to talk about it. Shut up, because I know some of y'all going to call me a hypocrite. It is what it is. I don't care. But we're going to talk about it right now. I want to say shout out to Juice Radio and Podcast. Also, shout out to Juice Radio and Talk Show. Shout out to Make It Make Sense. They both discussed this. Again, I probably am the one with the unfavorable opinion, but I just got some things to say. I'm going to start out first because Duane actually went through his own situation. He was essayed at the age of 12 repeatedly. He's seen his father do things to his sister, if you catch my drift, do things to his sister. He's been traumatized. However, this is one of those situations where the victim becomes the predator. And so in the beginning, he's talking to Larry Reid about his own situation and how he ended up back in jail. He just recently got out because he why can't I think of it? But the probation said he had to go back to jail because he said he lied about something and it came up on the lie detector. But I'm gonna let him go ahead and explain it, and then we'll be back for commentary. Let's go. Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear it.
So the violation was just communicating with someone you weren't supposed to communicate?
Right.
So what was the stipulation they first of all, tell me what was the crime you was convicted of?
Yes. So in 2006, I was arrested for a SA charge from something that happened in 2002. So on October the 31st, 2002, I, as a pastor, was counseling someone who was a member of my congregation, underage individual.
How old were they?
Say 15.
Okay.
15 years of age. At the time, crossed the line. This was a 15-year-old male. Crossed the line with the individual. This
something that I want to mention, and we'll get into the TD Jakes situation. He said with the TD Jakes situation, he was 18, 19. So he was a legal adult. Now, this is what he's talking about. His own situation, this was a minor. So I just wanted to draw that contrast real quick. Let's go ahead and continue.
This was a sadly 15-minute destructive experience in my life and their life. That was 2002, October of 2002. This thing went back and forth for several years. And in 2006, I was arrested on this particular charge. And at the time of my arrest, I was given 7 years probation and 1 year house arrest. And
so I want to say something, because he says, oh, it was only 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if it was 20 seconds. That's a minor. So when I heard this, I was all like, sir, are you telling me, oh, it was just a 15-minute bad decision? No. Any second that you made that decision was bad. It doesn't matter if it was 15 minutes or not. And so I was all like, did anybody else hear this? Shout out to Juice, because Juice was the one who pointed this out. And I was all like, am I hearing this correctly? Because I think everybody's so hell-bent on trying to throw TD Jakes under the bus. And I'm not a TD Jakes defender, by the way. We're going to get into him. But I was all like, did he just say what I thought he said? I was like, did I hear this wrong? He doesn't believe he did anything wrong. Ooh! You think that's what it is, MB? Let me put up your comment. Hold on. Margot, true. I do. I don't know if I appreciate he took accountability. I would say he is true. I don't think he has taken accountability. I disagree with it now that I think about it. Because the way he tries to minimize it, it's like he's still nervous to talk about it. But it's all like, you can't throw TD Jakes under the bus without talking about your own shit. You know what I mean? And I know you guys aren't going to like me for my commentary, but I got to be honest.
The 7th year of that, I was then charged with a corruption of minors, because I had conversation with an individual who was sharing with me things that they were going through and things of that nature, but they were also underage, and I was not to have that conversation.
How old were they?
They were 17 at the time. So having that conversation triggered the stipulation that gave the judge the ability to revoke my street time. So my street time was revoked, and they then sentenced me under the original guideline for SA, which in Pennsylvania was 5 to 10 years. So
he's saying that he had a conversation with somebody and he wasn't supposed to. What kind of conversation? Because I think that's the context that's missing in here, but I'll go ahead and continue.
In 2014, I began serving a 5 to 10 year sentence for what happened in 2002.
Now, when you said 15 minutes in 2002, so
yes.
was it what? I mean, I can do a lot of things in 15 minutes, but what happened?
Okay, so what transpired was, and this was a complete bad setup. So I received information from a lady in our congregation telling me that her son had written in his journal, and in his writing in his journal, he was writing about doing things inappropriate with another person. She brought the journal. She asked if I would talk. Inwardly, when she told me, I knew this is a conversation I did not need to have. But
so did the mom know about him? Like, maybe this was the wrong person she should be talking to? I don't know.
As we do when you are carrying poison, what I did was that particular day, I sent my secretary home early, so that this was also crazy. This was a Bible class night in my church. And so this meeting is happening just a half hour before my Bible studies to start. The person comes into my office. We're having the conversation. I speak to them about making a decision whether they want it to be homosexual or not homosexual. and then really just leading this person down the path of the poison. Ultimately, they acknowledged that they did want to be homosexual, and from that, it led to me saying to them, well, you know what, you can step back into the back office. They stepped back into the back office, and in the back office, we had mutual touching of one another, and that absolutely was a crime, and it was the wrong thing for me to have done.
And I want to say, I don't want to minimize and say that when he tells his story about TD Jakes, because we're going to get into it, that he's lying about it because of his past transgressions. But I can't help but to be all like, you mother, like that's what's going through my head. You mother, like, I'm sorry. That's how I feel. And so what he's saying is that this mom came to him and was all like, hey, my son's writing this stuff about, you know, he might be homosexual. Mind you, I want to point out that Duane Youngblood, he wrote a book, Freedom from Homosexuality. I don't think he's free. But anyway, the mom comes to you, lets you know that her son's writing stuff in his journal and stuff like that, right? Basically, she's coming to you for help to try to help him out. And I think this goes to help him pray the gay away. And maybe if I take him to church, he won't be gay no more. Let me not hop into that conversation. But basically, I'll wrap it up with this. That's not going to stop anybody from being gay. If they're gay, they're going to be gay. But you send your son to this man because you think he can help. But instead of helping, he ends up taking advantage of your son. I'm sorry that as I'm telling you guys this, and now because I listened to it, but now reiterating it and saying it and reviewing it with you guys, I can't help but to be pissed off.
I'm sorry to ask you a question, but I want to really understand. So
that's all right.
You already was told about this person in your ministry who, okay, and that's another thing. You was a pastor and you had been pastoring for many years. So it's your nature to get into these type conversations
all the time.
But had you had a situation like this before where somebody that was same gender loving, wanted to be free, wanted to be delivered, or was exploring and trying to figure out, you've talked to them before?
No, in my history, I didn't have many conversations with people who wanted to be free and whatnot.
So there's actually another case where there was a man accusing him of SA, saying like, hey, we messed around. Well, now he was grown, but at the time he was a child. He was underage. He was a minor. And so Duane's lawyer was basically arguing that, hey, he was already an adult by the time this happened. Yeah, they didn't know each other previously when he was a minor, but they didn't start messing around until he was an adult. This is a second case. So he's actually lying right here saying, let me not say lying. I guess he's saying like he never encountered anybody who wanted to free themselves from homosexuality, just like his book says.
Experience was more along the lines of knowing people, meeting people, talking to people, but very rarely was someone in my congregation
I'll try to
saying
find it.
that they were same gender loving and they wanted to be free. The game that I was a very serious participant in was you knew who people were and you knew what people were doing. And if you wanted to do it, that was what you did, keeping it secretly. These two words that I love now, secret or private. I was trained in secret it was to be secret. And in secret, there were things that you just did. And it had nothing to do with trying to help someone navigate. In 2002, I was nowhere near trying to help anyone navigate in any way, shape, or form in a healthy direction as it related to their sexual identity or sexuality, because I hadn't even considered what was going on in my own life.
Boom. I wanted to talk about that. And again, this is somebody who wasn't raised in the church, so I might think differently than you guys do. But one thing that I want to point out is that I think we give a lot of these pastors a lot to deal with, because I don't know in their, when they go to Bible school and stuff like that, if they're trained on how to actually deal with different issues as far as like psychology and the way the mind works and relationship. Like, are they trained on that, or just to pull out a scripture that references the situation and tell them that God is going to, like, are they trained to really deal with people? Just like when you go to, whatchamacallit, in the Catholic Church, like you have to go to like this, basically the priest has to give you their blessing and stuff like that, but you have to do these classes and these counseling sessions and stuff like that. Well, are they trained to actually deal with marriage? Are they trained to deal with children going through certain, like, are they trained professionals? They're not trained professionals. So I don't know why you would ever go, unless you just want to talk about life, have somebody to talk to. But if you actually need to seek help, I think you should go outside of the church. That's just my personal opinion. All right, let's continue.
Okay. Thank you. And I hope you don't feel like I'm asking too many questions.
Oh, ask whatever you choose.
Because I have to understand. And that make me understand. So here you are inwardly already being same gender loving on some level, bisexual something. And it's a secret. And it's just what you do with those that know up in because you're in that church world. So I get that. And then this 15-year-old wants to come and tell you, and the parent had already told you. So for those who feel like, okay, you took an opportunity, I'm playing a devil's advocate, and you took an opportunity when you given secret information that was in somebody's journal, and now they're coming to you and in the same conversation to help, y'all touching on each other. How does it get to that?
Oh, honestly, the sadness of it, again, very short conversation. Most of what is going on in my life in 2002 and prior to that is on autopilot. It is not even something that I've got to do a lot of planning and thinking. I have learned how to express the need that I have for male love and male attention very secretly without ever having to go through some deep planning.
And I want to point something out too. Being a predator is different than being gay. I think a lot of times when these situations happen, especially with the pastor doing X, Y, and Z, predator is just a predator. I don't want to conflate that with being gay, because I feel like a lot of times we be like, oh, see them homosexuals, they be doing X, Y, and Z and be da-da-da-da. Two different things, because it happens to boys, it happens to girls, it happens to adults, it happens to everybody, unfortunately. And I think a lot of times with the stigma, we just look at it as, oh, it's just a gay thing. So I wanted to separate that, Let's go ahead and continue.
That part for me, considering that time of my life, was how much this was on autopilot. And so there wasn't a lot.
Because if you want to be gay, just go ahead and get you somebody who's an adult. Like, that's why I was all like, I don't want to conflate the two and make it seem like it's the same thing. No, a predator is a predator because that person is literally looking to gain power over you. And we can go deep into that, but I'll just leave it surface level for right now. But get you an adult. Like, it has nothing to do with your sexuality. And I feel like sometimes it gets, oh, I was just so confused and the devil was playing with my mind. Okay, let's continue.
To consider at the time in 2002, because again, this was simply me going with what felt right at the time, which was the norm for me at that time.
So there really wasn't a lot of thought about it, because it was just when it came to that type of exchange, that's the way it went. Now, let me say this. I understand that. I know that from experience. Mm-hmm. And this is the reason why I don't fool up in my personal life with many church, same-gender loving people and single church women. Mm-hmm. Because they all move just alike. The same gender loving men in the church.
Let me rewind that back, because I don't understand what he's saying.
For me at that time.
So there really wasn't a lot of thought about it, because it was just when it came to that type of exchange, that's the way it went. Now, let me say this. I understand that. I know that from experience. Mm-hmm. And this is the reason why I don't fool up in my personal life with many church, same gender loving people and single church women. Mm-hmm. Because they all move just alike. The same gender loving men in the church, it is so toxic the way that they go about hooking up, meeting up. It's just, and I know it's hard for people to believe, but I've seen it firsthand. I remember one of our family friends came down from New York, and they went to a club with my siblings. Mm-hmm. One of my siblings. They weren't there 5 minutes, and they was in the bathroom. But this is a straight club. But she was bi, and they just locked eyes and went in the bathroom, and they started. For those of you that don't know, that's a world that you don't know unless somebody tell you or show you. So I understand how quick that can happen.
So is Larry saying that he don't like single women and gay men? Because maybe I'm slow. You know, I didn't finish college, y'all, but I don't get what Larry was trying to say. I honestly don't. Maybe I missed it. That's why I rewinded it back, because I was all like, maybe I missed something. I'm not getting what he's saying or what he's trying to say there. I don't get what his reasoning behind it. He just running his mouth. Oh, okay. Thank you, Messy Ho. I appreciate that.
However, I'm putting myself in your shoes, and I'm trying to understand that quick. Was there conversations prior?
None. Not one conversation prior. It happened so quickly. But I'm going to tell you something. It's just my internal belief. I had been asking God for something since 1997 that I couldn't find. Mm-hmm. And when I look at how things played out after that, mm-hmm. I totally understand how something can seemingly be quick, but at the same time, it is a critical moment in your life. Now, so much has changed even with that situation.
So what he's telling me is that, there was no conversation prior. There was nothing that happened. It was just a spur of the moment thing, 15 minutes. Okay. I don't believe that. I don't believe that was just something that happened. No, that's not something that just happens. Now, I see some of you guys asking about the TD Jakes thing. We're gonna get into that. Just be patient because I don't want to cuss you out. We're not at church right now, so I don't want to cuss you out, but I will. All right, let's move on. So he goes in through his history and what has happened to him, and he has been a victim of SA himself. And he talks about TD Jakes and how that affected him. And again, I want to say that I don't know how TD Jakes necessarily correlates into his own story, but it's more or less like, hey, I know how TD Jakes get down and what he tried to do to me. It's a little confusing because I'm all like, okay, so did TD Jakes do something to you? We'll go ahead and listen to it right now. Let me fast forward. Oh, not that far. Hold on. I believe it starts at the 23rd mark.
Yes.
Did that happen to you again after the situation with Bishop Wilson?
Yes. Yes, I've been through that again. I was now 18, 19 years of age. And what had happened is Brian Keith Williams, who I see is in the chat, Brian Keith Williams he came to my graduation service and preached. My mother was very fond of Brian Keith Williams, and I was very fond of Brian. So she invited him to preach for my graduation service. And he came.
Okay, so he's talking about Bishop Wilson, and so he's saying that it happened multiple times. But I wanted to address this comment. I'm not saying that you can't be both, but what I'm saying is that people basically say, "Oh, if you are a predator, then that makes you this, or only these people, the stereotype," and that's more or less what I'm talking about. I just wanted to clarify real quick. All right.
Came in and preached, and then he came and he was preaching for us again. And while he was preaching for us, there was scheduled to be a revival starting in our city by Bishop TD Jakes. And so Bishop TD Jakes was brought to our church by Bishop Wade Jones, who was the pastor of a Greater Male Church in Pittsburgh at the time. He brought him to our church, and he was there the night that Brian Keith Williams was preaching. And we didn't know who this person was, but apparently Bishop Williams did know him, and he gave an endorsement about how he could preach. And Bishop Jakes got up and said a few words. And so my parents had a rule.
This was in the 90s.
You're going to their church services they went to. So we went, and he started coming in to preach twice a year at Bishop Jones's church. He was so popular that the church would be full before he ever even got there, before the service even started. The church is jam-packed, unbelievable response to his ministry. And so myself and another elder who was a part of Bishop Jones's church, who is still a part of that church now, we befriended.
Noel Jones?
No, this is Bishop Wade Jones.
Wade Jones. Okay.
Yes.
I know that.
He befriended, we befriended kind of close with Bishop Jakes. And we decided in one of the times he was there, it was going to be his birthday. Now, I remember like it was yesterday. His birthday is June the 9th. Now, we're going to take him out.
What's your friend name again that you were close to?
The person who was in that church, his name is Harvey McDaniels.
Okay, Harvey.
He and I were going to take Jakes out to eat after he preached for his birthday. And so I was able to convince my mother to let me drive her car, as I didn't have a vehicle. I said, well, we're going to take him out to eat. I want to drive your car. And so we did. We took him out to eat. And it was decided after we were done taking him out to eat that I would be the person to take him back to his sleeping place, which at the time there was a lady named Sister Giles. She always wanted to house and take care of him when he came to that church. And so I came in there, drove him to eat, and then took him back to her home. Well, after taking him back to her home, he says, come on in, let's talk. And I still felt, you can't even imagine being 18, 19 years of age. This person is killing it, and they're saying to you, come on in, let's talk. And so I did. I went in. We sat down at a very long dining room table in a room that she had. And for 2 hours, it was unbelievable. Pouring of heart, crying, him talking about my father. We talking about these scenarios. And I inwardly just knew I had finally found someone who could get it. Someone who understood. I'm sitting at this table, and for the first time talking to any man, I got tears coming down my face because somebody gets me.
So there's a lot of trauma with him and that he hasn't dealt with, as he said previously earlier. And he really was looking for this guiding light, this father figure, someone even though he had a father, someone he could really look up to. So lining this up to let you guys know the downfall.
Somebody understood what I was going through. Well, after sitting there and having this long discourse with him, I finally look at my watch and I'm like, oh my goodness, I got to go. I got to get this car back to my mother. She's going to kill me. So I said to Bishop, I got to get up. And I got up from the table. He got up from the table. He walked around toward the way I had to exit quicker than I got over there. And when I started to walk past him, he pulled me to himself, wrapped his arms around me and tried to kiss me. And in that moment, I literally died. I could not. I tell you, to this day, I can't remember how I got out of that place. But I remember driving home with all kinds of crazy thoughts and what in the world am I going to do now? And I finally get home, get in the house, get in the bed. I'm going to try to go to sleep. And I get to sleep and get up in the morning. And in the morning, I step into our bathroom and my home phone rings. My mother answers the phone and she says to me, Wayne, it's Elder Jakes. And I get on that phone. And when I get on that telephone, I can hear water. He is sitting in a bathtub. And in that thing, he says to me, without any hesitation, there's 3 things I need you to
listen to this.
The first one is, when I come to Pittsburgh, you're going to be the only person I sleep with. The second one is, you can't sleep with anybody else because I don't want to give my wife anything. And thirdly, I will take care of you the rest of your life.
All right. So I have a few comments about this. I don't know if TD Jakes pulling him in, if he did actually try to kiss him, or maybe it was like, how one person go to one side and the other side, and like, I don't know. And then when it comes to running the bath water, or he thought he was in the tub because he heard water. How did he know that for a fact? How did he know he was in the bathtub? Now, regarding the phone call, basically he said, you're going to be my boy toy and I'll have my way with you when I visit in town. Possibly that could be true. Possibly that could be true. Again, this is coming from his mouth, not mine.
Can't to this day remember how I got off that phone, but I do know I made a decision that I wasn't going to the service that night. And eventually I told my mother, I'm not going to go to the service tonight. She says, no, no, no. You know, we got a rule in this house. If we go, you go. I never told her what he had done. I went to church, and the most humiliating thing imaginable happened that night at church. Bishop Jakes, getting up to preach, speaks into that microphone. I'm going to ask young minister Youngblood to read for me. And after all of that drama of the last 24 hours.
Oh, thank you, Cammie. I didn't think about that. So Cammie said, if there was running water, that's a man having a conversation that doesn't want anyone else to hear in the house he's in. Wow, I didn't know that, because I would picture it'd be loud. I know for me, if I'm using the bathroom, I'll turn on the shower because I'm usually taking a dump, but I didn't think about it that way. Wow. Sorry, that's TMI. I don't know why I told you guys.
I had to read before he preached. And so there is so much more to me and Bishop Jakes and my family and Bishop Jakes and the absolute destructive sexual damage. But this thing was so extremely damaging. And I would say this to you, Larry, that sitting back and watching some of the things I've seen in 2024 and things that I've heard him say has been so frustrating to me, because the people who I've heard say things publicly related to him and people who've actually come to me, the stories they are telling me in 2024 is what I remember when I was 18 and 19 years old with this same person. And so it's hurtful, because for me,
So there's always been rumors about TD Jakes and how he get down. And so basically what he's alluding to is that there's other victims out there and they echo the same things. And so he knows this because it happened to him in the 90s. And assuming that this is true, it's still happening today. That's what he's saying.
Of course, I've abused, but my God, I can only imagine how many people may be listening tonight or hear this again, and you might be on a cliff getting ready to do something that destroys your life. I will encourage you tonight, don't hold back. Don't believe the trash and the garbage that touch not my anointed and do my prophet no harm. Trust me, you are God's anointed.
Absolutely.
You're the person that God cares about. And so this was tragic to me. And I was alone again, alone. And
I want to say this.
It goes on from there.
I want to say this and give you a break, because it's
Larry from last night, thank you for mentioning that. That is, I could definitely see that. I can definitely see that. There are more pastors and victims out there. Right. And hopefully, I just want to be clear. Let's be clear. I'm not telling nobody that they shouldn't come forward and tell their story. It's just that in this case, some of the things that he realized and seen, he also did on himself. And it was all like, well, damn, if you see, and mind you, I'm not talking about the stuff when he was 12 years old. I'm talking about in his adult years, 18, 19. Okay, somebody else tried to do this to you. You recognize it, seen it, but you then in turn end up doing it yourself. It's weird. And yes, it's true that usually when it happens to you, when you're young, some people, they become predators themselves. Remember, we talked about this last night. They become predators themselves. But this is something specifically like you've seen and recognized that this was an issue. But then you still did it later on in life. Y'all get what I'm trying to say, or y'all disagree with that? Let me know. Y'all free to say whatever y'all want to. I don't care.
one thing I want to say. It's amazing how you telling your story feels And your story is a story of pain. It's a story of going from
It's true.
the abused to the abuser to now an advocate for both to experience change.
Yep.
It's a painful story. Because in my opinion, I feel like you were passed around. I know preachers, and I know how they do women.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop it right there. Okay, so that's the story with TD Jakes. Now, I want to say this. Something that I notice a lot of times is with a lot of these pastors, they usually do their dirt in a different town or outside. And I mean, sometimes it's within, but they usually do their dirt outside somewhere else. Like, you going to be my Florida boo or my Cali boo or my New York thing. And that's the way they play it. You know, Pastor Jamal Bryant is a perfect example of that. You know, had a girlfriend in New York, Atlanta, here, there. He's someone who has done it. Now, his situation was all, you know, women of age. But if this is true about TD Jakes, I would assume, oh, this kind of makes sense because this kind of goes into the Manasseh thing. Remember, Manasseh said he was groomed by TD Jakes and stuff like that. Well, he also said that he would fly in from different places and they would talk and communicate and text each other. Another component to this that we're not talking about, specifically with the victims, is that when it's male, there's another component to this where you are questioning your own sexuality. You are questioning your own sexuality because you're all like, hey, I'm not gay, but this is happening to me and what is going on. Maybe I do like it. And it's a lot that goes through your mind. And I'm thinking a lot of the times, well, let me not say a lot of the times because I don't want to disrespect nobody, but I think there's a component of that where he was probably already questioning his sexuality. Then when TD Jakes tried to push up on him, he was all like, wait, whoa, huh? Wait, what's going on? But in turn, he's having his own internal battle. I know that's really deep what I'm saying, but I think there's more. It's when you are questioning and things are going through you that you, it's deep. It's deep. Hopefully nobody was offended by that. I'm not saying that there's anything, again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being gay. I'm saying that because he's living, as you seen earlier, he basically was living closetly. Is closetly a word? He was closeted. That's what I was trying to say. He was closeted and he couldn't be free to be himself. And so there's a lot of questioning. He knows he grew up in the church, so it's a bad thing. You're not supposed to be gay. And so he's going through his own internal battle. That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry if I didn't communicate that right. Okay. Okay, you got me. Okay, thank you. Okay, you understood what I was trying to say. So Debonair is right. They get the trust of the congregation and take advantage of that trust. Yeah, exactly. And that's what Larry was echoing earlier too, is basically they get your secrets and they know about you. And that makes sense of when he admitted earlier to the 15-year-old boy that had, feelings and was trying to figure out his own sexuality, but in turn, he took advantage of that. Yeah. Like I said, you guys, this is very complex. And again, I'm not saying that he's lying. I'm not saying that we shouldn't believe him. But if you look at Lipstick Alley, a lot of those comments about Duane Youngblood, it was negative. But to answer Prissy, he has been talking about this since 2008. I believe 2008 or 2009, he had already been talking about this. He even stated that TD Jakes was putting like a bug in his wife's ear, all like, hey, you need to leave him, blah, blah, blah. and even kicked him out the church and was all like, you're welcome to come to the church, but your husband is not. And so there was a battle with that. Now he ended up divorcing his wife, but TD Jakes was basically convincing his wife, like, hey, you know, you need to go ahead and leave him, do whatever, as they call it, sowing a seed. That's what he was basically doing. So there's I feel like in another sense, he feels that TD Jakes kind of ruined his life. I also seen something else on Lipstick Alley that said that, oh, well, he's upset because when he was going through his thing, TD Jakes didn't defend him, but he defended Eddie Long, which I want to play you this clip. And remember, I told you guys, like, I was very shocked to see that TD Jakes defended Eddie Long.
While we're in the spirit of prayer, there's probably not a person in America or around the world that does not know the recent tragedies that has gone on in New Birth, and that Bishop Eddie Long is up under severe scrutiny during this time. And I think that we as Christians should just pray. I think we should just pray. I think we should pray for everybody that is adversely affected. Everybody, just pray, cover them with the blood, cover them with prayer, lift them up in the name of Jesus, and undergird them. Someone, stand up, we're going to pray in the family in just a moment. Somebody said to me, you haven't come out and said anything publicly. I said, there's nothing to say. There's nothing to say. You can't make great decisions with poor information. Until you can separate facts from conjecture, there is nothing to say. So you hold your peace, keep praying. When all of this is over, one thing's for sure, somebody, if not everybody in it, is going to need the blood. Come on, somebody. Either way you cut it, the blood has never lost its power. Either way you go, I know a man from Galilee who's able to deliver you and set you free. I don't care what it is, I don't care when it is, and I don't care who it is. God said my grace is sufficient. And so we're just standing over in the corner with a blood bucket. Woo! And whoever needs some can get some. But I don't know about you, before I sprinkle some on anybody else, if you excuse me a little bit, I want to put a little bit. I want to put just a little bit on myself. I've been consumed a long time ago. I just wallow in it and lay in it and roll over in it. And every time the devil tried to kill me, I scream, the blood, the blood, the blood, the blood, the blood, the blood, the blood. That's my only defense. Hey, that's my only defense. It's the blood of the Lamb. Reach out and join hands quickly. We'll take just a moment. Nobody knows what's going to come out of this, but we know at the end of the day that God's in control. Amen. No weapon formed shall prosper. And when everything is said and done, God will get the victory.
I was shocked, but I shouldn't be shocked, as, yeah, they all look out for each other. On top of that, TD Jakes probably done did his own dirt and was all like, oh, yeah, you know, just cover yourself in the blood of Jesus. I do believe in praying, but I don't think everybody can be prayed for. And some people, you don't want them praying for you. And with TD Jakes basically all like, oh, we ain't got all the facts, we don't know anything. And again, I try to look up to see if TD Jakes came out and said anything else, you know, as far as like, oh, I believe the victims, or, you know, he took back what he was stating. No, I didn't see none of that. This was his only statement that he made. They do a prayer for, what was Eddie Long's church? New Baptist? Is that what Eddie, they prayed for Atlanta, prayed for the church, and did all that. So that was basically his only statement that he made about Eddie Long. And we all know what Eddie Long did to his victims. Well, honestly, it didn't even go, New Birth, thank you. It didn't even go to court. He settled with all 5 of the victims. Remember? He settled with all 5 of them. He settled, so it didn't even go to court. Again, a settlement doesn't mean you're guilty. But I mean, the way if you've seen the interviews with the boys, there's no way in hell you would go like, oh, ain't nothing happened. No, they're lying. You felt something when you watched those interviews. That's what I'm going to say. And you guys decide whether or not Eddie Long was guilty or was he innocent. But definitely something wasn't right. TD was basically, the obligatory elephant in the room, because it was such a huge story in the church and beyond. Yeah, you are right. You can't have everything. Yeah, because some people PREY and then some people PRAY. He was guilty. Yeah. They really look out for each other. Just how we talk about how these celebrities with Diddy and stuff like that, the church look out for each other too. We don't talk about it, but they look out for each other. Oh, are you guys hitting the like button, by the way? Please hit the like button. But we don't talk about how the church look out for each other. Oh, they look out for each other. So I wouldn't be surprised if, just like So Debonair was saying about walk-ins, I wouldn't be surprised if it's true. Now, here's the thing. I'm not trying to say that Duane is necessarily lying, but I got questions because you also did some of the same things. Well, no, not even some of the same things. You did worse because you actually committed the acts. Now, TD Jakes tried to proposition you, but you actually committed the acts. And I hate to play, one is worse than the other, but if we're going to be honest about the situation, maybe wrong messenger. I almost feel like, oh, Lord, I'm going to get in trouble. I'm going to get in trouble. I'm going to get in trouble. I feel that Larry Reid felt like he had to give us something. Remember, Larry Reid for the longest time was all like, oh, Manasseh gonna file a lawsuit. Oh, Manasseh gonna do that. Manasseh, he gonna do this and that. And every month, nothing happened. And so I feel like Larry Reid was all like, damn, I gotta give y'all something. Let me pull this one out my back pocket. And so he did this interview with Duane to kind of pacify the people. But honestly, I forgot about the whole TD Jakes situation. I forgot about it. And because here's the thing, I'm not trying to say because Duane did something that he can't also be a victim. But when I'm comparing the story that he told about TD Jakes and what happened with him compared to what he actually did, apples and oranges. Apples and oranges. That's what I'm more or less having a battle with. Because they're like, well, damn, you done outed this man and said all this stuff, but you done did way worse. At least with Manasseh, he might have had a lawsuit for all them calls and stuff like that. But Manasseh wasn't accused or convicted of SA and stuff like that. So again, it makes it a little bit harder for me to be all like, yeah, let me rally behind support and stuff like that. I feel like given both sides of the story, I feel like I did that. I feel like it needed to be told both sides of the story. And again, Chrissy is correct. He's been saying this since 2008. This isn't new information. But I can't sit here and tell you guys like, oh, yeah, I believe both of the situations were the same. Now, what happened to him when he was 12 years old? Oh, yeah, definitely. With Pastor Wilson, okay, get that. Can't take that away from you. But the situation with TD Jakes, that's more or less like, oh, somebody tried to do it again and take advantage of me, and I refused. That's what I more or less see with the TD Jakes situation. He refused. more or less than he did X, Y, and Z to you. He tried, but he didn't do it, which is still bad. I don't want to pacify it and make it seem like it's not bad, you guys. Grooming is grooming, but apples and oranges. My father kept saying, don't put all your faith in a man. True. Not Bussy Jakes. Oh my God, you guys are crazy. All right, we're gonna go ahead and end the show right there. Again, go ahead and check out Larry Reid's channel if you guys want to go ahead and check out the full video. I just wanted to play you guys a little part. It's the whole video is 2 hours. We're not going over 2 hours. I just wanted to play you the beginning and then towards the end to let you guys know, like, hey, this is the situation. This is what was going down. Larry Reid. Hold on, let me go ahead. Okay. Oh, no. I accidentally put a number in there. Okay. This is Larry Reid's video right here. So you guys can go ahead and check it out right there. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I appreciate y'all for being here. Definitely replay crew. Let me know what your thoughts are in the chat. Definitely love to chat with you guys and, try to. I'm praying for everybody involved. That's what I'm going to say. And also let me know if you feel like more victims are going to come or if this is, probably a one-off situation. Again, it's been teased that there's all these victims of TD Jakes, but nobody has really came forward, So let me know in the chat. Deuces, everybody. But we out.